Louis Theroux flew to Marbella, Miami, and wherever else these men hide their insecurities. And from courts. He smoked a cigar. He met a 24-year-old dictator who scrubs floors when his mum visits. He watched a 40-year-old man trash his own car to look rich. And then he watched the entire alpha male industry collapse because of one tiny poodle with a pink collar. The documentary is called Inside the Manosphere. It's been out for months. I'm late to the party because, as a survivor of assault, watching 8 hours of men explain why I deserve less required several panic attacks and a lot of tea. But here's the thing, these men aren't warriors, they are salesmen. And the moment you see them hide their views from their own mothers, the whole grift falls apart. Let me show you exactly how the sausage and the insecurity is made.
Not success. I do want to say that. That car, fuck that car. I might be an asshole.
Hello Internet. Today we're talking about Louis Theroux's 2026 Netflix documentary Inside the Manosphere. Now, I am a few months late to this party as I have already told you. Before we dive into the cesspool of one-sided monogamy and Lamborghini debt, I need to be upfront about something. I didn't watch this documentary on Netflix, not because I'm a purist who only watches Criterion Collection films, but because, like a lot of us in the current economy, I am broke. Netflix asked for another $22.99 just to watch men in small t-shirts explain why I am worthless. Absolutely not. Instead, I did the modern journalist version of dumpster diving. I watched hours and hours of clips and reaction videos on YouTube. That was hurtful. The other reason I'm late, let me tell you, sitting down to watch 8 hours of content about men who advocate for dictatorship in the bedroom isn't exactly a relaxing Tuesday night for someone with my history. It's a panic attack waiting to happen. Dressed in a Balenciaga knockoff, so I had to pace myself. I had to watch it in pieces, like defusing a bomb made of pure audacity. But I'm here now. Let's get into it. The documentary opens with something that has become the universal symbol of I am very successful. Please do not look at my credit score. The cigar. Louis is in a club or a villa and he's taking a drag from a cigar with these guys. It's the visual equivalent of a nature documentary host putting on a lion costume so the pride accepts him. This is Louis Theroux's entire playbook. He disarms them with mild Britishness. He's standing next to men who look like they have been inflated with a bicycle pump. And he's nodding politely as they explain why women are biologically inferior, while they can't even open up a jar of pickles without grunting. The cast of character here is a lot. We've got Harrison Sullivan, better known as HS Tikky Tokky, a 24-year-old Brit hiding out in Marbella because he's on the run from charges back home. He looks like he borrowed his older brother's chain and never gave it back. He is a clip farmer, which is a fancy way of saying he films himself being a jerk.
Not try and be a good person.
In what respect? What do you mean?
Just uplift people, don't pander to their worst impulses, actually encourage them to make the right choices.
It's a good question. If I'd just done good things, I would never have really blown up on social media in the first place. If I was just thinking, right, I don't want to upset anyone, I don't want to do anything that's I wouldn't have been where I'm at now. And I'm not living for other people, I'm living for myself.
Chops it up and sells the outrage. And he was very honest about it.
Reviews.
Don't ever say that I'm a scammer. Don't
HS takes a cut of whatever you put in, even if you lose money.
And I show you.
I opened an account and put in £500.
Then there is Justin Waller. He's 40. He runs Andrew Tate's online business school, The Real World. He is the living embodiment of a middle-life crisis that somehow got monetized.
Subscriptions to a so-called online university, The Real World.
14-year-old kid that made $3,000 the other day. I cannot believe this 13-year-old is making more money than his parents.
What he's basically saying is we take money off teenagers.
Then we've got Sneeko, a streamer so edgy he got banned from YouTube and somehow thinks that's a badge of honor. And finally, the main course. Real name, Amaru Fudol. Now I can see why he changed his name.
One of its most notorious figures, Amru Foodle.
I'm the dictator. You are the subordinate. And I dictate when I want to put dick in you, bitch. And then you dictate when the sandwiches come by my dictation. That's how this goes.
Oh, God, honestly, man, come on. It really amazes me that young lads buy this, you know. Because even in my dumbest, most hormone-fucked brain of my life, like when I was like 13 years old, I would have looked at that and gone, that guy's full of shit.
He boasts about his one-way monogamous relationship with his girlfriend.
I do what the fuck I want to do. She's loyal to me. It's monogamous on her end.
The host of the Fresh and Fit podcast, he's the guy who wrote a book literally titled Why Women Deserve Less. Subtle. He's like a walking red flag that somehow has 1 million subscribers. Let's start with the British export no one asked for. HS Tikky Tokky. Didn't we have enough British export in the last, 400 years? I'm getting distracted. This guy is fascinating. He's 24. He lives in a villa in Marbella, and his entire brand is, I am an alpha dictator. But then, this is the moment that broke the entire illusion. His mom shows up, and she calls him Harrison. And he falls, he shrinks. This is the same man who tells millions of young boys to be dictators. And here is the most important detail. HS admits on camera that his mother does not approve of his views. He specifically said...
My mum's different. Like, my mum would be disappointed that I said that.
Really?
Yeah. She hates racism. She hates, like, homophobia.
Sexism.
Sexism. She hates sexism. She hates all that shit. So if I was like, oh, like the women cleaning and that, like, I wouldn't say that around my mum to get slapped.
His mum has raised him to say that all of these things are wrong, and yet he's saying it anyway. He doesn't give a fuck. She hasn't taught him to say that. This is just who he is.
Let that sink in. This man knows his ideology is so rotten that he has to hide it from the women who raised him. He has to code switch between alpha male podcast grifter and good boy Harrison the second he hears his mom's slippers on the marble floor. It's the ultimate admission of guilt. If your truth can't survive the presence of a middle-aged woman with a juice box, it's not the truth, it's a performance. Next up, we fly to Miami to meet Justin Waller. Justin is 40 and he is desperate for you to know he's rich. In his first scene, he immediately trashes his own expensive car, not by accident, on purpose, to appear, unbothered by material possessions, while simultaneously filming himself possessing the material possessions. It's the financial equivalent of lighting a cigar with a $100 bill. It's only impressive to people who have never had a $100 bill. I never had a $100 bill. But I'm not impressed. What the hell?
This is my small place. This is kind of where I go to get away and do all my...
Then he shows Louis his office. It's huge, but he calls it small. This is a classic move from the fake it till you make it playbook. You act like the massive expensive thing you're standing in is beneath you. So people think whatever you're not showing them must be even better. It's a Jedi mind trick of people who failed high school. And then we get to the relationship.
How many kids have you got?
I've got some. Yeah.
You know how many you've got?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I think so.
What's the number?
It's 2. Yeah.
Are you with their mum?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Are you married?
No. I'm gonna get a lot of smoke for this. I always do. Everybody gets mad at me when they ask me about my relationship.
Are you saying you're not in a monogamous relationship?
One-sided monogamy, yeah. Mm-hmm. Women don't want to sleep with other men when they love a man.
One-sided monogamy means what?
It means like, see, here we go. Here we go. Setting me up. The mother of my children, the woman that I'm with, she doesn't talk to other men. So, stings, huh?
Justin is married to a woman named Lisa. They have 2 kids. He calls her his wife, but they're actually married. Right? He didn't call her his wife. He said, the mother of my kids. He refuses to marry her because, and I caught his logic, he wants to be able to sleep with other women. He calls this arrangement, one-sided monogamy. He gets to sleep around, she stays home with the kids. Why? Because women don't want to sleep with other men when they love a man. He likes the power over her. He likes that she's financially dependent on him. And Lisa is tolerating this arrangement because she doesn't want to work a 9-to-5 job.
I notice that people get very angry with me about this subject.
Do I seem angry?
Digging. So, a man should go out and have a bunch of women, or have his wife have threesomes with his girlfriends. Now,
Is that something you do as well?
yeah, of course.
She has outsourced her dignity for a comfortable life. It's a transaction, it's not love. It's a hostage situation with better draped. Lisa describes the relationship using the metaphor of lanes. She does the diapers and cleaning he provides. I haven't heard a division of labor this unfair since the feudal system.
Do you have like a rotation of other women?
I wouldn't say a rotation like right now. I do want to get multiple wives.
And now the piece de resistance, the moment that should be taught in journalism schools for the next 100 years. Myron Gaines and the Pool. Myron is the guy who wrote Why Women Deserve Less. He sits in a studio and calls women fat fucking bitches, while surrounded by OnlyFans models he's profiting off of. But the magic happens when Louis meets Myron's girlfriend, Angie. Louis asks Myron about his plan to have multiple wives in front of her. Myron, the alpha, the dictator, the man who deserves more, says that's the goal. Then Louis talks to Angie, and you can see the mask slip. Myron is nervous, and she doesn't approve of this thought process. He's hovering. He's not the loud, brash guy from the podcast. He's a guy who knows he's about to be exposed to the women he actually sleeps next to.
I'm the dictator. You are the subordinate. And I dictate when I want to put dick in you, bitch. And then you dictate when the sandwiches come by my dictation. Hey, there's Angie right there.
Should we meet Angie?
Yeah, she's
Angie, can we say hi?
Myron is somebody in front of the cameras, but behind them is somebody else.
We were talking about in the future that maybe there's a world where you would have more than one wife, right?
She understands that. She knows that could potentially come down in the future.
What do you say about that?
I don't know. I mean, he has said that in the past. I think I'll see when it happens. Like, I don't know how that will work.
Angie admits she doesn't know the multiple wives thing would work. She is not into it. She's just there. But here's the kicker, the moment of absolute gold. Louis asks Myron if he might, in the future, change his mind and settle down with just one wife. Myron looks at Angie, looks at Louis, and starts backtracking. He mumbles something like, yeah, maybe I could see that happening.
That's so avoidant.
Yes, it's something you never know, man. You can always change your mind down the road. Who knows? Maybe I'll say, I only just want to be with one.
And what is Myron doing while he says this? He's holding a tiny poodle with a pink collar. You cannot make this up. The alpha male, the man who says women are biologically inferior, the man who calls himself a dictator, he falls like a cheap suit while cuddling a fluffy lap dog. Louis Theroux, with the deadpan delivery of a man who has just witnessed the emperor's naked backside, looks at him and asks, You're brave, you're backtracking already. Silence, the mask is off, the poodle is confused, Angie is unimpressed, and we, the audience, realize the entire alpha persona is a grift designed to separate lonely teenage boys from their allowance money. So the documentary drops in March 2026, and what happens? Does the world wake up and collectively delete their internet routers? No. First, the personal fallout. Angie dumps Myron. Shocker. She didn't want to be wife #2 in a harem funded by crypto scams. Myron responds by calling Netflix woke garbage and Louis the liar. He also released a 7-hour stream crying about the edit. 7 hours. That's longer than the documentary itself. That is not a rebuttal. That's a hostage review. But the global reaction was far more complex than just Angie left a misogynist. Let's look at Australia. Experts slammed the doc for failing to fully confront the scale of misogyny and harmful attitudes towards women. They said it didn't go far enough. Women's Aid in the UK said the same thing. The film raises important questions, but fails to examine the real-world influence on violence against women
I've
and
heard quite a
girls.
bit from the right saying, like, why is he not focusing on Muslim misogyny? That's quite a big thing. Like, and that's the sort of, I guess, almost Elon type framing would be, I'm following a woke agenda.
The reviews are in. The consensus is clear. These men are clowns. These men are dangerous. These men are, and this is the word that keeps coming up, pathetic. And the consensus is not wrong.
In India and Africa, critics pointed out that Western obsession with a handful of high-profile US and British influencers is a distraction from a much deeper, darker global problem. In Ethiopia, women who identify as feminists online have been subjected to intense campaigns of abuse, including death threats. Some have fled the country. This isn't just about a British guy in Marbella scrubbing floors for his mum. This is a global ecosystem of misogyny that silences women and threatens democracy.
Having, escaped the system and being their own individual person, whilst having to stage clips for views. It's no secret that many of their clips and many of their interactions with people are staged. How individual are you? How on your own terms are you when you're literally staging drama for clicks and views? It's very, very dystopian. This also kind of fits hand in hand to, saying that you've escaped the matrix while actually relying on views from young men is kind of contradictory. Their whole ethos is that they live life on their terms, whilst also admitting they monetize rage and farm as many views as possible. You're not living off the grid, you're influencers. You are still quite literally a part of the system when you rely on people beneath you to fund your lifestyle.
And then there is the UK reaction. The BBC gathered a group of young men, the target audience, and asked them if the doc changed their minds. Some said yes, they realized the creator were bad people and it was all a scheme. But others, they said they would already cut off friends who didn't believe in the hustle. The ideology has already done its damage. So what's the takeaway? Why are we watching these men? Some critics argued that Theroux's documentary fails to interrogate why boys feel pushed toward these men. It shows the grifters, but it doesn't solve the loneliness. These men are feeling a void. They're selling cheat codes to life to boys who feel like they're losing the game. But here's the thing, the documentary doesn't need to solve the problem, it just needs to show us the con. And it does that beautifully. Look at the data. 1 in 6 boys in the UK aged 6 to 15 have a positive opinion on Andrew Tate. Almost a third of Gen Z men believe a woman should obey her husband. These aren't fringe ideas anymore, they are mainstream, packaged in TikTok clips and sold as male empowerment. And the business model is always the same. Generate outrage, grow followers, sell questionable courses and crypto scams, profit. HS Tikky Tokky promotes crypto and corn subscriptions. Justin Waller sells online business programs. Myron Gaines monetizes a podcast with 1.5 million subscribers. They are not philosophers, they are salesmen, and the product is your insecurity. So was this documentary an eye-opener? Yes and no. If you're a woman, this documentary is just a Tuesday. It's the same crap we hear in the DMs, in the comments on the streets. It's just happening in a villa with better lighting. But if you're a man, especially a young man, I hope this documentary was a splash of cold water. These guys don't believe what they're saying. They hide it from their mothers. They backtrack when the girlfriends are in the room. They trash cars to look rich while probably leasing them at 29% APR. The Manosphere is a grift. It's a pyramid scheme where the product at the top is being a decent human being. And they have convinced you to pay for the privilege of being a jerk.
The biggest guy in the space in that whole Manosphere community is Andrew Tate. And when we started on it, I thought, we might get Andrew Tate. And over the year of filming, I was messaging Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate quite a lot back and forth. And he was like, maybe I'm going to do it if you pay me. And I said, we're not going to pay you. He said, well, why would I talk to you? You're not relevant anymore. And then he sent me they can do those Google graphs and they show how much you've been Googled over like 4 or 5 years. And he goes, and there was like I think it was a blue line. It was up here, quite high. And then there was this tiny little flat red line at the bottom. It goes like, I'm blue, you're red. I was like barely registering. No one's been Googling me.
But that might be because they already know who you are.
Maybe.
I mean, it could be the opposite is true.
Maybe.
You know,
And
a
here
lot of
was
people
the
are
other thing.
Googling who the
other thing
fuck
was
you
at
are,
the,
mate.
At the very end, I don't know if you had, at the very end, through some weird glitch, my line went above his. So I screenshot and circled that and I said, I'm literally more relevant than you are. I felt pretty gangster.
That's good.
The biggest guy in the space.
You don't need a course, you don't need a podcast, you don't need a cheat code. You just need to be a person who doesn't have to hide his views from his own mother.